Hey, everybody. Hopefully, you survived by Mageddon, or at least barely survived by Mageddon. The work is still to be done, though. Week eight's coming up, and there's some players to pick up off the waiver wire. And for those players, let's bring in the princess of props, the best in the business, Jen Piacenti. And Jen, we'll start off at the quarterback position, where there's not a whole lot to like off the waiver wire, but one player could help us in the coming weeks.
Kyler Murray returned to practice last week. And if you want a quarterback that has the potential to finish as, say, top 5 at the position, top 10 at the position each week, Kyler Murray's pretty much the only one you can grab on the waiver wire. Now, of course, we don't really know how he's going to perform with his ACL now repaired, hopefully much better. And it is a new offense, which probably could only be a good thing. And we also don't know if he's starting this weekend. It could be a few more weeks. But as I said, there is no quarterback with more potential that you can get right now if you have the room to stash him, and you can probably even stash him on your IR for another week or two. Remember, Kyler Murray finished as the QB3 in 2020. He finished as the QB10 in 2021. And on a per game basis, he actually finished as the QB9 in 2022 before going down with injury. So Kyler Murray is my biggest waiver claim at the position this week. I also have some interest in Gardner Minshew and some Minshew magic.
Yeah, CJ Stroud may have been dropped. Also, check out to see if he's available with Houston on a bye. Let's move on to the running back position, where we got some clarity in the Rams backfield in week 7, Jen.
That's right. So Darrell Henderson carried the ball 18 times for 61 yards, and he had the touchdown. Now, again, this is a Sean McVay running back room. We don't really know what he's going to do, but we're going to bet on it being Darrell Henderson Jr. this weekend versus the Cowboys. If you're going to spend your fab, that's the guy to spend a little more on. And of course, you can also stash Royce Freeman, who also had 12 carries and tallied about 60 yards. 68 yards, actually, a little bit more yards, but he didn't have the goal line carry. And then, of course, if you really want to do a deep stash, you can stash Myles Gaskin, who we saw be successful with the Dolphins. We just don't know. Hopefully, you don't have any major need at the position this weekend. But if you do, Henderson's the one to target.
Yeah, Amari DiMercato, remember that guy? Led the Cardinals backfield out of nowhere. Again, he's out there on the waiver wire in some leagues. And Devin Singletary, who got more burn before Houston's bye. They've got Carolina this week. He's another player you can go out and target. At wide receiver, this player, Jen, has been on my waiver rankings list and your waiver rankings list for like 3 straight weeks, but he's still a free agent. I doubt that's going to be the case now.
I certainly don't think so. Listen, across the past 3 weeks, Josh Downs has 243 receiving yards, 16 catches, and 2 touchdowns. Guess what? That is almost identical to Michael Pittman. However, Josh Downs has 1 more touchdown, and he has a far superior 80% catch rate. Things are only getting better for Josh Downs now that Gardner Minshew is taking over as quarterback. He has done far better. He has not caught fewer than 4 passes in any game that Gardner Minshew has gotten this start. So things should only go up from here for the slot receiver in Indianapolis.
And he's quietly been consistent, too. He's giving you double-digit points just about every single week. Kendrick Bourne also still floating around out there. Had a couple of good games in a row. Plays Miami this week. He had a big game against them in week 1. Finally, tight end. It's tough out there at the tight end position, but you like Dalton Kincaid.
I like Dalton Kincaid. He's probably been dropped. He led all Bills receivers this week, 75 receiving yards, 8 targets. Why I like him is because he had a 20% target share this Sunday, and that number could potentially get even higher. Listen, the Bills need a number 2 wide receiver, right? So unless they make a trade, it's very possible that Dalton Kincaid can kind of step into that slot. You know, he missed some time last week with the concussion, but Kincaid is someone that if he starts to get more, and he played more snaps this week, he played like 86% of the snaps. If he starts to get more and more playing time, he could start to put up more consistent fantasy numbers for you. So he's a player to stash. If you're looking for someone to specifically start this weekend, you may want to pivot more towards Michael Mayer or Jake Ferguson, who are also available on the waiver wire.
Yeah, Taysom Hill, too. He's been more involved in the passing game for the Saints, and he's always got a shot for a rushing touchdown. So there's a few tight ends out there who could potentially help you in week 8. At least we don't have to deal with 6 teams on a bye and no international games. But still, it was a tough week from a fantasy perspective. Jen Piacenti, you always make even the toughest weeks a little easier. Thank you for all your waiver wire ads. And you can see Jen's article on si.com/fantasy every single week. And for all the waiver wire ads, the starts, the sits, player rankings, everything you need to win in fantasy football, we've got it at si.com/fantasy.